The manga starts and the very first things seen are a few cabinets, on which pictures of girls are displayed. A serious conversation is going on inside one of the cabinets, where a man is desperate enough to start swearing over and over again, calling out to his grandmother to answer. He shouts that his grandmother is not picking up the phone. When she finally picks up, he is pretty desperate and starts to yell at his grandma. He is so desperate and anxious that he has already smoked more than 8 cigarettes and is fearful of something beyond explanation. He wants his grandma to grab him from this mess that he has created and mutters about how his family does not care about anything. As the phone is answered, his grandmother can barely speak and actually starts to cry, which makes him even more frustrated. But on the other side of the curtain, a person standing is visible, and as the man starts to swear at his grandmother even more, he starts to cry about how he can only rely on her at this particular time. A beautiful and cute girl is standing outside, and as she slowly enters the booth, in the next instant, the grandmother is clearly left on a hang-up, and the man who was supposed to answer the phone is bleeding from his mouth. It seems like the girl has done her job, and she lets someone know that she is done. As she is going out, she notices a cute bunny, and it catches her attention. For a minute, she just stares at it. From the side, a man mutters on how this is a bucktooth seal. As she glances to the side, a man passing out a pretty weird and creepy smile lets her know that it's called a bucktooth seal. A boy just quietly stands there. He proposes that he can get this for her, and as he starts to share how he would have to adjust the claw and how it would all just be piece of cake, with confidence he tries. But on the very first try, as always, the claw machine gets the money, and he fails. He starts to try more and more. He runs out of change, and he gently reminds her that he would go out to get more change, and he would definitely get this for her. As he goes out, messages remind the girl that she has been staying inside for a long time. As the man returns, the girl is nowhere near outside. In the car, the poor girl's face is smacked by a hand which is filled with scars, and the old man lets her know that Nezumi should not stay at the scene once the killing is done. She apologizes, and the old man asks what she was doing. With a sad voice, she lets him know that she was looking at a doll. She vividly remembers the scene of the boy that was standing there waiting for her. In her apartment, it is pitch black darkness. As she takes some medicine in an almost empty apartment, she takes almost 7 pills. After swallowing everything, she quietly arranges everything and quietly goes to sleep. This is the life of our main female protagonist, Nezumi the assassin. She is not only haunted by her own self, but she is haunted by something so unexplainable and so horrific that it is impossible to discuss. As she sleeps, she remembers a man who says to her that Nezumi cannot sleep at all. The man has gangster tattoos all over his body, and he is ready. All she could do was open her eyes as the old dude mutters to her that it's her job to be a good girl. He smiles and Nezumi wakes up from this horrible, devastating nightmare. She remembers how the old man mutters to her that the girls that are with her would never forgive her if Nezumi was the only one who was left out and safe. As she wakes up, she quietly follows her same old usual life. Just like this, she downs another man, and this time her kill was even more public. She chases a man down and she does her job swiftly and more accurately. As she stares at the blade, the man thanks her for all the service that Nezumi has been doing. The leader explains how the association has been rearranging themselves and how she's more valuable than a lot of his group members, and mutters that Nezumi is literally the best tool that they have and literally the best killing machine that they'll ever need for anything. This is the leader of the cooperation that Nezumi is a slave of. He asks why her nose is so red, and as she apologizes to him, the leader tells the old man to be more gentle with Nezumi. The old man agrees, and the leader explains how the association has been growing at a spectacular rate thanks to Nezumi's swift and precise takedowns on big leaders and competitors that have been giving them a hard time. He brings out 3 more pictures, supposedly more people that she would have to kill. With a chilling voice, he lets her know that as of right now, Nezumi should forget all about the past on how she stabbed the man's neck in one of the instances. Now the man is stabbed was a gangster and someone very important, who had a habit of doing absolute devilish thing. As 2 men are in a picture behind the leader, it is sure that the leader and the tattooed man were partners or brothers, and she is supposedly was locked in a space that the fat dude had and Nezumi killed him before he could do anything. As two men entered the dungeon that the fat dude had, back then they found Nezumi and her eyes were wide open, and it seems like she has done something terrible to the person who was doing even more terrible things to her. The leader smiles and asks Nezumi if there's anything she'd want, and he keeps persisting that he could do anything. Nezumi just keeps staring at him like a cute animal. Back to the city, she quietly walks around the street and a couple catches her attention. As they talk to each other, she quietly sits down in a playing area. As she quietly sits there, from the side, a man gently asks her if he could sit down next to her. The same man from earlier, Aoi, decides to approach her with a weak and hopeless voice. He asks if she remembers him, and she pauses for a minute and lets him know that she does remember him. He brings out his bag and pulls out the same seal that he promised her to get. With a confused expression, he lets her know that he was able to get it somehow, but it took him a lot of time and even cost him around 5,000 yen in the end. Nezumi is quite surprised, and he lets her know that she can take it. She asks him if this was the reason that he had been following her. Aoi is quite stunned since he was sure that he didn't leave any traces and was pretty good at his thing. But she lets him know that she knows how he followed her from the main road. He asks if this is a prank. She asks if this is some sort of joke to him, or he has some other intentions. Aoi, on the other hand, starts to stutter and explains how he was nervous and wasn't able to approach her. Saying this actually gets Nezumi irritated, and she stands up and lets him know that she would like to go. As she is about to leave, the boy stands and stops her, letting her know that he was following her, but he didn't really want to just give her the plush toy. He wanted to tell her something. He keeps going on about how he could really gross her out, but he, with a lot of courage, lets her know that ever since they met, he wasn't able to get her out of his mind. With maximum courage, he lets her know that he fell for her at first sight. As a glance at her face is shown, she is absolutely flustered. Aoi on the other side is completely breaking down as he asks if he could get her answer. The girl quietly asks if she can go and she starts to walk ahead. They both start to fight with each other, and he keeps persisting on how he would do anything to go out with her. Nezumi is not having it, and he starts to scream on how he never actually played the claw machine ever before and just lied so he could talk to her. As their conversation leads to almost no end, he starts to scream that he has been in love with her. With a firm voice and thunderous scream, he lets her know that he would do anything and tells her, "Please, go out with me." Nezumi gets a flashback on the profession that she has, and she hesitates and lets him know that it's not possible for her, and it's not possible for her to even be close to him. Aoi on the other side starts to tear up and starts to beg her. He is so obsessed, and he just really wants her to be with him no matter what. Seeing his tears, Nezumi asks if he is crying, and he actually starts to tear up. She asks why he's so obsessed with her. As a picture of the place that Nezumi is living in is shown, the camera slowly gets a view of her toilet, and we see her toothbrush. As the camera zooms in on it, in the blink of an eye, that one toothbrush is changed into two. As someone rings the doorbell, the door opens and a girl enters the place. Aoi is smiling with a happy face and food in front of him, and he calls out to Nezumi. Nezumi, on the other hand, has a lot of blushes on her face, and she is just blessed to be with him. As they both smile at each other, they start to giggle, and it seems like they have started a new life for themselves. Aoi lets her know that it's just been 6 months already, and they should be allowed to call each other without their surnames. As they both drink beer, they enjoy and start to play games, and Nezumi actually lost a lot. Aoi asks if she is angry, and with a weak voice, Aoi starts to explain how she's cute. As they both start to flip with each other and have a wonderful time, Aoi lets her know that he's so happy right now. Nezumi just kept silent and mutters how she's happy as well. But right in the next instant, Nezumi has her knife at the throat of a person. She pulls it out and the man gushes out blood. As she checks her mobile phone, her boyfriend lets her know that he will pick her up from work, and she completely forgets what she was doing and she smiles as she goes out. She throws the man inside the toilet seat, and instead of focusing on the task, she completely forgets it and smiles. That night, they both quietly walk outside. Aoi obviously does not have any idea on what Nezumi is actually on about, and he starts to cry on how he hasn't been able to land a single interview, and he cries that he has been nothing but a burden. Nezumi lets him know that she doesn't mind him living free of everything, free of all responsibilities, but he replies on how he feels bad since Nezumi has been working hard at the hospital. She lets him know that she can raise him from the ground up and doesn't really need him to work. As they both stop in front of a restaurant, Aoi lets her know that this is their place for tomorrow, and he got them a nice reservation for tomorrow. He lets her know that he remembered that tomorrow was her birthday, so he decided to throw a dinner for her. As her eyes widen, he smiles and lets her know that this poor guy really wanted to do his best for her, and this was enough to send Nezumi flying through the sky. She starts to become even more flustered, and she tightens her grip on his hand. In the bed, Aoi closes his eyes and was having a hard time, but Nezumi lets him know that for a long time she had these nightmares, but as she's with him right now, all the nightmares have gone away. He also smiles and lets her know that he also used to have a lot of terrible thoughts about his dead sister, but as the nightmares and thinking have lessened a lot, he thanks her. She smiles and calls out to him, and as he responds, Nezumi with a smile lets him know that she's really thankful for everything, and she would like to know if he would like to make love. As she tells him that tomorrow they'll meet each other and make love with each other, Aoi is completely flustered, and they both clench their hands. Tomorrow marks their biggest day of their relationship. Nezumi actually shows up earlier at the reservation, and she mutters on how she got here a little too early. She checks her clothes, and she starts to remember the things that she said, and this actually makes her too embarrassed, and she sits down. As she is rethinking everything, her phone starts to go off, and when she checks, it is a call. She picks up, and the leader ends up calling her, and he lets her know that today there's something extremely special, and she needs to get to his location as fast as possible. She is not supposed to work today, but the leader, on the other hand, tells her that something urgent has come up. As always, since she's a trained assassin, he reminds her that his word is more important than anything, and he lets her know that he'll be waiting for her no matter what. Just like this, the day that they were supposed to be planning and arranging for a long time ends. She ends up writing a terribly long and sad message to Aoi. In a really run-down place, a car moves, and the leader praises how Nezumi is looking more different than anything, and it's more dolled up than usual. As he tries to talk, he apologizes on how he ruined everything. They stop by a basement, and as Nezumi gets out, she sees that there is a man absolutely breathing with exhaustion and blood covering all his face. There are also some nail-pulling torture pliers and a man with a fist knuckle. It seems like they had captured a person that they were torturing. As the man recalls on how they beat him to a pulp, and from the side, the man exclaims on how they made him puke, and he did so much that it's really difficult for them to work around with that from the outside. But she still looks ahead, and as she slowly recognizes his face, it seems like the poor protagonist Aoi is sitting right there in a most uncomfortable, most unrecognizable, and most sad appearance. He is stripped out and is beaten to a pulp and is tied to a chair. It seemed like he was interrogated to a great degree. Sadly, those devils also plugged his nails and did other things to him. The leader, on the other hand, says that he knows for half a year she has been having a fun time with her new puny boyfriend, and with a cold voice, the leader tells her that now it's time for her to kill him. As the leader tells her to kill him, Nezumi's eyes completely widen. The leader even jokes that she should maybe give him a farewell kiss. Ignoring the leader, she walks past that trash and slowly makes her way to the actual person who actually cared for her. As she grabs Aoi's face, he cries from the pain, and as he opens his eyes, both of them look at each other for a minute. Without a hint of pain or misery or crying or any sort of problem, Aoi tells her straight to her face that she looks incredibly cute today. As she hears this, he keeps on saying it again and again, and she actually ends up flustering. They both, in the middle of that difficult time, start to go back and forth on how they prepared so much to make it to this day, and they essentially start to flirt. From the side, a fist comes landing into Aoi's temple so hard that it completely crushes his ear. The man screams that he should not flirt with her. The punch Aoi receives is so hard that he starts to cry on top of his lungs, and his ear literally becomes dark red. All the gangsters start to gang up on him, and seeing this, Nezumi's eyes completely fill with a void of seeing the love of her life getting beat up so much right in front of her. The man who hit Aoi starts to spew on how he's absolutely weak and an excuse of a man. Nezumi does a little pose, and in the very next second, she kicks him so hard that a cracking sound literally shuts everyone down, and the man drops to the ground like a fly. The man's jaw completely breaks, and even a few of his teeth completely fall out of his face, and he drops to the ground with absolutely no hope, twitching like a dead fish. Nezumi lost control over herself. After she sees this, she starts to stutter and apologize that she wasn't able to hold back after seeing what they were doing to her lover. The leader from the back starts to spew on how she's actually a monster and truly lives up to her name. As a trained assassin, she looks at the leader's devilish eyes, and she starts to sweat. She just knows that she cannot go against the will of the leader and her teachers. In the first place, no one in the right mind could ever try to outsmart a gangster leader. She starts to cry on how she had to do this, and the leader points his finger out and tells her that she cannot hide the fact about who she really is, and he lets her know that her boyfriend knows who she really is as well. This just completely shuts her down. From the back, Tango, Nezumi's master, tells her that she should give it up, and Aoi actually ended up seeing what Nezumi does for her living. The leader then explains to Nezumi about how her looseness is causing them a lot of trouble. The association is suffering due to this, and the leader gently places a knife in her hand and tells her to kill her boyfriend before things get any worse. If she hesitates, things can get so bad that a lot of people can die. The leader then tells her to just kill Aoi to end all the suffering and make this much more easier for the association. With an absolutely painful, weak voice, Nezumi cries that she has roughly killed more than 100 people, and she cries that she has killed even more, sharing how she has always, from the moment she was born, only done one thing, and that is kill. She loses control over herself and completely goes off the rails. The tears that she had been trained all her life to hold back overflow. She tells everyone that there's only one person that she would not like to kill, and that is her boyfriend right there. She starts lowering her head and crying, and starting to beg for any ounce of mercy that she can get, and starts to beg, but the leader has completely other plans. He grabs Nezumi's head, and with a loud voice, he tells Tango that Nezumi has been broken. She's not good at all, he adds. Tango in the next instant disarms her like an absolute unit and sends her down to the ground. The leader grabs the knife and tells them how she cannot find happiness in him. He reminds her that in the end, she is just a tool for killing people that they had raised. The leader slowly moves forward and starts playing with her knife. But Aoi, on the other hand, tells the old man to let her go. He defends and screams on the old man to let her go and mutters on why they are doing this and why they are okay with doing horrible things to Nezumi. His words are no longer of any use. Aoi tells the leader that Nezumi is his girlfriend, and she's not his toy to meddle with. Aoi glares at the leader, and seeing this, Nezumi for a minute completely stops, and she couldn't even believe that Aoi could have said these things. In the very next second, the leader hates Aoi's defiance, and he starts to kick him aggressively. Aoi's look is so defiant that the leader couldn't help but get goosebumps. As they start to progress things and they start to do even more terrible things to him, Nezumi starts to cry and beg that she's just a tool and she was stupid for being too loose and open. They both start to cry on top of their lungs, and as the leader places his knife right near Aoi's neck, both of their eyes completely lock with each other, and Aoi starts to cry. With an absolutely weak and hopeless voice, he cries that he was really looking forward to seeing her today, meeting each other, and making love today. As he says his goodbye, the knife slowly starts to go inside his neck, and they both start to say their farewells to each other. Nezumi, on the other hand, starts to beg her master to let her go, and the old man reminds her that if she goes outside of her world, and if she steps outside into this betrayal, there would be absolutely no way of getting back, nor would it be any beneficial for her for the rest of her life. Basically, he reminds her that if she goes against the organization, she would have to be hunted down by the underworld for the rest of her life, and Aoi would always be in danger. Now her eyes are absolutely filled with tears, and she starts to see all the happy memories that she had with him. With a loud voice, she resorts to her final option, and she screams that she will teach her own boyfriend to be an assassin. Saying this, the leader actually freezes for a minute, and she starts to cry that her boyfriend would never give him any sort of trouble, and she swears that she would make him so strong that he will be a useful tool just like her to the organization. She starts to beg over and over again. To make these words serious, she lets the leader know that if they kill her boyfriend, then she would do something terrible to herself as well, and in this way, he would lose more than anything. She starts to bite on her tongue, and as the conversation gets even more strict and intense, the leader actually starts to get irritated and mutters, "And why if a man like Aoi is that important to her?" With a mouth filled with blood, she tells him that he is more important to her than anything, and she loves him. As pin-drop silence surrounds them, in the very next second, Aoi opens his eyes and finds that he is being given a lap pillow by Nezumi. She, with a worried voice, asks about him. Aoi's nose starts to leak out, and he ends up bursting into laughter. It seemed like the leader of the association decided to use the situation to benefit himself, and he basically decided to have mercy on them. It seemed like the conversation earlier made the leader rethink everything, and he decided to let Nezumi train Aoi. Let alone Nezumi's words were not enough, so Tango on the other hand also decided to add his own twist. Deep down, he helps Nezumi into persuading the leader. He also tells his boss that it might be a good idea to have a spare assassin in place of Nezumi in case she died. He also reminds her that if Nezumi is quite serious about herself, then it could get serious, and they could both lose important people. After barely controlling himself, the leader, with a cold voice, gives them a deadline. She has 1 month, and in 1 month she has to turn her boyfriend into an assassin. If he fails, then the leader would make sure to disappear him into a pure pitch-black void. As this unbearable and big task is given to them, Aoi, on the other hand, is pretty much happy to just be able to live. He smiles and reminds her that even though things are bad for them, she still saved his life. He smiles and lets her know that he would do his best to become an assassin. As their cute conversation goes on and on, the old man, Tango, is hearing this from the side and lets Aoi know that it's not a joke and it's not a happy world. He reminds him to not get the wrong idea. He reminds him that Aoi has no idea of what things are and how Nezumi actually is. He also adds that he doesn't have a clue about the situation that both Nezumi and Tango are in. The old man gives him a picture of a thug and tells him that he has 1 month to deal with this punk on his own, and if he fails, then there will be no help for Nezumi. Later, as they take a break, both lovers sit down and after hearing few things from Nezumi, Aoi's eyes widen on how Nezumi is sorry for everything, and she felt sorry that Aoi had to deal with someone like her, and because of that, they are in this problem now. To really open Aoi's eyes, Nezumi explains how she is a killer and a cold-blooded assassin who cannot go back on the orders. She explains how she is trained to kill women, elderly people, and even younger generations. If the orders are given to her, she would have to kill them, and she cries that this is the world that she has been living in, and it's almost going to be impossible for him to transition into this. She asks if he would be able to kill someone for her sake. After taking a pause, Aoi cries on how it's absolutely awful that Nezumi had been forced to do this. She gets blown away after hearing this, and he lets her know that those people are her enemies, and he knows what he'll do. He smiles, and with a confident tone, he lets Nezumi know that he would kill all her enemies and he would save her no matter what. He explains how everything that holds her down and each and everything will be dealt with by him, and he mutters that everyone is just in between their way of getting their happiness. As they both chat for a long time, they go back and forth and back and forth. After this, Nezumi actually decides to make it up to him because of their failed date, and she ends up giving him a treat that he would not forget for the rest of his life. As she tells him to do his best for the next month, he stutters and agrees. Plan to kill the target in the next 30 days would be pretty tricky, and since they have already used 2 days, they have 28 days left. Aoi, on the other side, is actually more impressed and more into the outfit that Nezumi had, and now his main goal is to also focus and also remember the result that he got the other day. As she complains about his intentions, she explains a perfect way to finish off a person in a swift and precise assassination. The first step would be to put his arm around the neck and lift the chin using the arm and then stab at the Adam's apple. It is the most precise and most accurate way to do it. Aoi completely ignores it and is kind of into his own world. Nezumi gives him a live example about how swift and precise this is, and how little time these techniques give to the victim or the target. As he experiences this, she demonstrates the move, and he also himself mutters on how quickly he was looking at the ceiling. Nezumi also starts to list on how he should be really careful and never ever let the killer see their face or never do any takedowns while standing in front of the target. As he starts to actually divert his attention to something more erotic, his face blushes, and he actually starts to find it difficult to concentrate, so he does something drastic to knock his senses out. He punches his own nose and lets her know that he would work so hard that they can both be happy for once and for all. He cries that during this training he is starting to get more horny, and lets her know that he would do his best. She wipes his nose and lets him know that he's amazing, and she tells him that they would both need to work extremely hard for their happiness. After this, she tells him to give her his hand, and she ends up tying a super sharp knife around his hand and duct tapes it with his wrist. Aoi, actually holding a knife in his hand and actually going through this, completely goes into panic mode for a minute. As a normal human being, he has no idea that he was going to do this properly. Nezumi, with a calm voice, lets him know that for the next few days, all that Aoi would do is this drill with her again and again until he gets so used to it that it's impossible for him to remove it. She explains to him that this is for him to do his best, and as she looks back, she tells him that now Aoi must come and kill her for the sake of their happiness. Hearing this, Aoi's face completely loses life, and all his happiness and all his calmness is now going to be tested at a higher scale. He panics and struggles for a minute, and as he decides to tell her something, he asks if isn't this extremely dangerous. She looks back to him and explains how they need to get into the real training before doing the drill, and they don't have time to waste. Aoi, on the other hand, is pretty scared, and he is not sure if she would be able to dodge it in time. But she lets him know that she has confidence and she can dodge it, and also asks that he should have faith in her. He is still having a difficult time, and as he gets closer to her, she asks if he hesitates. He starts to see flashes of imagination of him actually stabbing her neck, and he holds his knife and cries on how he can't hesitate, and if he does, things will go extremely bad for both of them. As he chickens out, he grabs her shoulder and adds on how they can make love first. As she looks at his face for a minute, he realizes what he has said and how bipolar everything is going on inside his head. He starts to panic one more time and he apologizes, also realizing how he had touched her without her permission. She, on the other hand, agrees and she starts to rip off his duct tape. For her, it's pretty serious and she understands the responsibilities of training someone and also making sure that they are in the right mindset, and for her, she believes that he is still not in the right atmosphere and environment. Aoi, on the other hand, actually kind of regrets saying this, and as she asks him to hand over the knife, he stutters and quickly hugs the knife and apologizes one more time. He starts to mutter no over and over again and adds on how he cannot hesitate and how they don't have enough time, and he cries that he will practice diligently. He starts to apologize, and as she asks if she should tape his hand one more time, he holds the knife and tells her that he would hold the knife just like this and do it in his own style. As he shivers more and more, Nezumi does something very important, and she calls out to his name. She tells him that before moving any forward, she would first need to teach him on how to hold a knife properly. That day, both lovers learn on what the price of loving each other is, and as Nezumi teaches him how to hold the knife and manage things, it is not about who they were with, it's about what they would have to go through to be together for the longest. As Aoi finally learns a proper technique, he holds the knife right near Nezumi's Adam's apple, and as she lets him see for himself and explore on how to properly use her techniques, she lets him know that he must understand and take a good look at this. Aoi's tears overflow. He lets her know that she should let him know if it hurts, and as she looks at his crying face, she smiles and mutters that it does not hurt at all, even though a knife is right near her throat. Just like this, almost 8 days have passed, and their regular drills continue. Aoi has gotten a little used to on how to properly manage and time his draw and stabbing moment. As Nezumi continues to train him and guide him on his momentum and his proper technique, she keeps making his moment more swift and precise. During these 8 days, Aoi makes sure to practice every single day, using every single hour again and again from day to day. Nezumi makes sure to train him on the proper technique, and he also starts to use mock training to properly visualize the method. As time goes on, it is only 10 days remaining, and as their normal rehearsal, Aoi decides to do the stabbing technique one more time, and this time as he does it, the knife touches the Adam's apple of Nezumi, and for a minute, she completely feels the killing intent. As she smiles back and looks at him, she lets him know that that was a deadly attack, and for a minute she was sure that she was dead. Aoi himself smiles. She praises him that his motion has almost become perfect, and he has gotten a proper feel to the technique. That night as they both sleep, Aoi smiles and lets Nezumi know that she should hold on just a bit longer, and he promises her that he would make her happy. As he keeps promising, she keeps looking at him, and she lets him know that she's already happy. He glances over to his side. The couple share a wonderful moment, and she lets him know that just a bit of lewdness is kind of okay between them. Aoi is completely blown away by this fact, but with an absolutely happy voice, Nezumi is thankful that he was able to find her. Just like this, the time to finally attack comes, and as we see Aoi completely shredded and a little leaner than his usual self, staring in the mirror, he readies himself. As he eats his food, Nezumi tells him about how he should seriously commit to his breathing technique over and over again, so whenever he becomes more erratic and nervous, he can use his breathing to relax his body. Overall, she also reminds him to not lose his grip until the job is done. As she keeps on telling him small things, it is finally time for him to leave, and Nezumi tells him farewell. Aoi is nowhere near ready, and he keeps staring and stammering over and over again, and Nezumi keeps reminding him to stay calm and remember his training. He smiles and thanks her for everything, and as he leaves, Nezumi actually kind of looks like a lost animal and looks down, and she quickly holds his hand. As he glances back, Nezumi is very worried, and Aoi knows that he needs to get past this moment, and he lets her hand go. With a confident voice, he reminds her that he will be back, and she watches him go. In the car, they travel to a station, and the gangster inside reminds him that in 30 minutes the station will be absolutely packed, and Aoi's job is to blend it into the crowd and take out the target. He can leave the body right there, and everything else will be handled, but Aoi's main job is also to not be seen by anyone. He reminds him that he must quickly get out of the crime scene. As he looks at the picture from the side, the gangster offers him a dagger and tells him that the target would use a restaurant entry, and Aoi would need to kill him before he leaves the station. They also remind him that if Aoi fails to kill him, then he is a dead man. Aoi keeps looking at the picture, and the pictures make him more paranoid. As the gangsters keep minding their own business and driving, the absolute silence is deafening, and it just makes him shiver in fear, agony, and absolute anxiousness. He keeps shaking and huffing for air, and then he remembers how Nezumi reminded him that if his breathing becomes erratic, he needs to inhale and use the breathing technique. As he does this, he is ready to embark on the most deadly and brutal journey that life had planned for him. Inside Nezumi and Aoi's place, Tango, the old man, enters and roams around, and as Nezumi joins, she places a cup full of tea, and this kind of makes Tango happy, and he adds on how he never taught her how to serve a tea, but she still did it. As she looks at her teacher sipping the tea, she kind of looks like an animal. A totally different picture is going on with our main protagonist, Aoi. He keeps trying his best to use the breathing techniques, but as the station gets absolutely packed, he is sweating heavily. He holds his dagger firmly, and he mutters on how there's a lot of people here. As people keep moving, he keeps eyeing for the right person. As he looks at the picture, he cries that he really wants to go home. He cries on how he wants to see his girlfriend, Nezumi, and as he saw a gum on the floor, a foot steps on it, and a figure that is fairly similar to what he has been looking for the past month approaches near him. He looks at the man, and it is none other than the target that he's been assigned to kill. The man quietly moves, minding his own business, and Aoi finally gets his chance to follow the bloody path of an assassin. Remembering all his training on how he would naturally have to keep a distance and follow people and create a timely pattern to move together with the target, Nezumi made sure to drill him with all the necessary and important movements. At times, she would add on how she is teaching him like a baby, but today is the day where all her teaching would bear fruit, and if he fails today, his chance to be together with his lover and to live a normal life would be completely over. If he did anything wrong or even decided to run, then for the rest of his life and his bloodline would always be targeted. As the man steps away, Aoi quietly follows him, and he keeps tagging him slowly by slowly. He keeps walking and makes sure to blend in into the crowd. Now, his first try is to take down the man right in the middle of the crowd, and as he decides to use the opportunity to end him, he decides to bring his knife to kill the target, but as the target curved a little, Aoi froze and started to shiver aggressively. Although the training and all the willpower he had was strong and done right and aided him to really press forward, the humanity and fear is still haunting him. As he loses the target, he starts to breathe aggressively and has no control over his own body. He keeps sweating over and over again, and as he unfortunately loses the target, he starts to look after him over and over again and starts to huff for air, and it seemed like Apothecary had just failed his first attempt to assassinate a person to prove himself. He starts to tear up and reminds himself that everything is going to be all right and he should calm down. But the target is nowhere near, and as his eyes completely get filled with water, he is not able to contain the sheer amount of emotions. But as he starts to remember how his partner is waiting for him at home, he starts to mutter out her name, and from the back, he notices a clacking sound, and he glances back and saw that the target was actually going to the restroom. Using this moment, inside the restroom, Aoi holds his knife and sits on the seat, and from the side, the target is doing his own business, and as he grunts a little, from the side, a small syringe ends up coming to Aoi's direction. Now the target is trying to grab it, but he is having a difficult time. So as Aoi helps the man to grab the needle, the man thanks him, and as he leaves the restroom, Aoi knew that he had this last chance, and he would need to do this no matter what. He exits his own seat and is determined to end the life of the target. Just as he is about to do, he ends up seeing his own reflection in the mirror, and he is holding a knife, and his eyes are filled with absolute darkness, and all humanity in them is gone. For a minute, he questions if he's really the same kind of person that he was earlier. Just like that, the man leaves the restroom, but this is the time where Apothecary would have to choose. To either run for his life, reject everything, fail at this mission, or he would have to attack and make the most out of it. Finally, not able to be caught by the sheer amount of pressure, he ends up doing something that he was not supposed to do. He remembers his partner and how he left her at the place, and in the very next second, he clenches the knife, and in the next second, the door of the restroom locks. Nothing really happens as we see a time lapse of the restroom, and inside Aoi is standing right next to a body, and he grabs the knife which is covered in his target's blood. Aoi has now officially abandoned his normal life, and entered an endless and dark world of the underground where there's no escape and there's no redemption. As he has made his first step towards finding peace and love, the life that he had and the life that he had planned, and the life that he could have gotten, has completely been washed away. As the Part 1 ends, in the future chapters, Aoi and Nezumi's relationship continues. However, fate has something different planned for her. Aoi gets kidnapped by a group of a different gang who show him absolutely no mercy, and as Aoi is her lover, the leader gently reminds her that her boyfriend is no longer in the alive. The beautiful and tragic story of both Nezumi and Aoi continues.